A good number of you have asked me to speak about open relationships. More than happy to do so, but each time these questions come up, I will frame them from the portal through which they've come, and this one is about fear in an open relationship. Having fear of being in one. What's my future going to be? How do we handle things that are coming up? More than happy to talk about this because I've worked with so many people that are either in polyamorous relationships or open relationships. And just so you all know, it's not always the panacea you think it's going to be. We are still human beings in constructs where we have fear, insecurity, and jealousy. And please don't think that putting these romantic designs on your head are going to in any way change that reality, because people have their human reactions. Okay, so this one is from Eduardo, and Eduardo, thank you so much for writing me. Eduardo writes, "Hi Susan, thank you for your videos. A lot of guys bring up the idea of an open relationship. However, this generates some internal conflicts within myself. How to manage fear of the future or of exploring something different within your relationship, and how to put your self-trust back on track and handle your relationship when insecurity brings fear and prevents you from embracing the present." Wow, Eduardo, there are like 5 points in here. Bear with me. I'm going to take them one step at a time because they are really, really, really great questions. First question. It generates internal conflicts within yourself. Maybe this is not the design for you. Ask yourself, just because that's what you're being offered, is that what I want? If you want that, fine. Agreements. Capital letters, folks. Agreements are what these relationships are built upon. Not terminology, agreements. Far too often, we have a blanket understanding of what an open relationship means. We have a blanket understanding of what a polyamorous relationship means. We must get into very, very specific agreements as to what we find acceptable and how we act on this. I'm working with a couple right now, massive jealousy issues in an open relationship. They didn't think they'd have it. They thought it would eliminate the jealousy because it's all in the open. No, it's still there because there were details of agreements that were not locked down, and don't you know, somebody tipped over the edge of one of those agreements, that area that was gray that nobody detailed, maybe because they didn't want to, and now we're in trouble. Now the relationship's in trouble because it was a violation, stated or unstated, okay? So it's got to be made on an agreement. So if you don't know what you're in and it gives you fear, you better put the steering wheel in your hand, because if you don't know what you want, you're going to get what they give you. I have said that so many times over, and I've been teaching that. I had a long group class. It was fabulous, called How to Make Love Work for You. And all I talked about is if you don't know what you want, you'll get what they give you. And everybody had to do an assignment where they put their hands on a steering wheel and take that photograph, because I need them to know that they are in charge of what they create. So Eduardo, might not be the design for you, but let's construct it according to what you want to experience and find out. Be very, very detailed with your current or your prospective partners as to what the agreements are and what the rules are around this. It doesn't mean, open doesn't mean without rules. It means they're detailed. There's a lot of latitude, but there are conditions around the latitude. Okay. Second, how to manage fear of the future. Because we're not used to seeing this love model make it through the future. We tend to think of the gold standard as being marriage, and that's locked down forever. So we have not had generationally enough experience of watching couples survive these types of arrangements to feel secure about the future. This is just something that we will learn in time. And by the way, just because something is a trend or it's gaining massive acceptance doesn't mean it's right for you. Don't ever be afraid to want what you want and make no apologies for it. Okay? or of exploring something different within your relationship. Okay, that part has to do with my fear that my partner is going to find something that's so tantalizing that they're not going to want me and they're going to leave me as their primary. I get that. Okay, so that is a concern for most people in an open relationship, but by the fact that you are thinking about that, it either means that your partner has not established primary with you solidly enough to give you the trust. These relationships are far more complicated than monogamy. Do not think this is because you can't do monogamy and you do this. They are far more complicated because you have to have mastered the basics to move into this. It's not the exception. Do you understand? This has to be, you think you've got communication in monogamy? The communication in these designs is extensive, huge, because all of these conditions have to be played out and discussed, and nobody wants to do that. It's going to blow the glow. It's going to blow the idea, but it'll blow up in your face if you don't. So it is a luxury of having so much trust and so many agreements in place that you know your partner agrees to and you agree to. That is it's the end result of having that in place first. If you try it the other way around, you will never feel comfortable. You cannot be made to feel comfortable. Here, walk on this tightrope. Don't know that there's anything underneath you. You may fail, burning fire, but go ahead. Yet, no, of course not. Your partner has to be completely with you as you both take this journey individually or as a couple. Okay? And how do you put your self-trust back on track and handle your relationship when insecurity brings fear and prevents you from embracing the present? That, again, I believe, Eduardo, has to do with the fact that I don't think your current partner has given you enough of a roadmap as to how they see it. Functioning. Functionality is a huge piece of open relationships. How are we going to have this function? And then you have to agree. Not one person, two people come together and define what these rules are. How do we do this? What about this case? Is this okay? Is that okay? How do we feel about this? Now, once you get a prototype down, you can test it. And don't be afraid to amend, take out, add to. That's something that you do in negotiation together to make sure that this primary relationship stays solidly intact. For those of you who are dating very, very casually and want to slap on the term open just because you don't do monogamy, it's kind of a lesser version of what I'm talking about. Well, to be honest, it's a lot less. So if you want to do this as a lifestyle, do it consciously, do it with ethical boundaries, do it with kindness, and remember, it's a negotiation. There are two people here, and it has to be okay. And you will have to keep coming back and amending this design. If something doesn't feel good or feel safe, two reasons. Not the right partner, or the partner, you and your partner do not feel secure enough to expand into these areas. Granted, you can have general insecurity. And if you're generally a really insecure, jealous person, I would not suggest going into this kind of a romantic model. Be honest with yourself. Maybe people want to do it, but you're not ready to do it. So just tell the truth and say, I don't think I'm ready for that yet. Don't ever be pushed into a design that doesn't feel right for you. Don't ever do something that you don't wholeheartedly want to explore. And when you explore it and you're exploring outside the parameters of monogamy and you're doing it hand in hand with your mate, keep talking. Keep telling each other the things that are difficult, because that's where the trust is built and that's where the foundation is built to have the luxury to have this expanded version. Okay, so that's my 2 cents on this. I work with a lot of these couples and I just I find that the human condition underneath is one of we must establish trust and we must keep mindful that it is a negotiation. It is negotiation. Susan Winter for SusanWinter.net. If you have a question you want to ask me, happy to address it here. Please send it to me. It's on the contact page underneath the media, underneath the speaking agent. There's a box that says video requests, and perhaps I'll pick it. If you have an urgent question, make sure to just book a session with me. That's the easiest way to get an immediate response. And I wish you all the very best on whatever design is right for you. And I'm here to assist you if you need it. Bye-bye now.